One of the things that we get a lot of is comments from people, questions from people related to how can I get it all done? There just seems to be so much that has to get done in a given day in terms of following up with clients, putting together quotes, getting together pricing, bringing new clients through the door, rarely have time for that type of thing. These are some of the comments that I get. So what are some tips for planning your work to accomplish more each day?
Increase sales, improve margins, and grow your business. Guaranteed. Top secrets of marketing and sales. Now, David Blaze.
One of the things that I think is really important to consider if this is something that you're dealing with is asking yourself not just how can I get it all done. More important than how can I get it all done is how much of it needs to be done at all. And the first question that I would recommend asking yourself is, can I reduce the number of activities that I'm engaged in? Can I reduce the number of things that I need to do on a daily basis? Because the answer to having too much to do is not to add more stuff. I know that sounds really obvious, but I can't tell you how many times I'm on the phone with a consulting client and we're talking about all the different things that they're doing, and then they start asking about something else they can do, whether it's related to the internet or some of the things that we were just talking about, driving traffic to a website. And again, if you're set up to do that, that's great. A lot of people are not, and what they're asking, in a sense, is how can I learn and master these 50 other new skills in addition to doing everything that I need to do to keep my business operating? And the short answer to that is very difficult to do that. So what you want to look at is, what can I eliminate first? What are the things that are being done now that need not be done at all? So the goal here is to accomplish more. It's not necessarily to do more in terms of number of activities. So the first step in planning your work to accomplish more each day is to look at what are the specific things, the primary movers, the activities that create the results for you, and then prioritize those and make sure that you do those first. If that is targeting and approaching new prospects and clients, if it's getting a customer acquisition program and system in place so that you are doing that like clockwork on a regular basis, then make sure that that happens. If you've got prospects who are in the pipeline now who have deadlines and dates and they need to get quotes on stuff, obviously that's a priority. You need to do that. Now, one of the things that a lot of people seem to have trouble with is somebody asks for a quote on something. They'll say, hey, can you get me pricing on this? And they'll just go scamper off and put together pricing without first having an idea of when are they actually going to do this? Do they really need a price right now? Sometimes people will say, oh, yeah, can you get me pricing on this? But until you know that they have an event or what day the event is, when they need it, what's their in-hands date, it almost doesn't make sense to put together a price quote, because if you put together a price quote for somebody now and they decide not to take advantage of it for the next 2 or 3 months, well, that pricing could be completely different. So one of the things you always want to find out from your prospects or clients before you put together a quote is, when do you need this? What's your in-hands date? And if their in-hands date is 3 months out, I mean, you can give them a ballpark in terms of pricing, but it might not make sense to do the whole work of putting together that entire quote until you're closer to that time, so that the numbers are going to be more accurate, and so that you're not spending your time doing something that you're going to have to end up redoing in a couple of weeks anyway. So looking at your prime movers, those activities that create results, making sure that you're doing those things first. Looking for activities that create positive interaction with your prospects and clients. Those are also important. What are the specific actions that you take, the specific activities that you engage in that create those positive interactions with clients? Is it sending them emails? Is it talking to them on the phone? What are the specific things that you need to do to make that happen? And how can you leverage those types of things? Because that's what's going to allow you to accomplish more on a daily basis. And the final thing that I tend to look at on that is taking advantage of various types of prime time. We're all familiar with the idea of prime selling time and making sure that you're in front of your prospects and clients at the times where they're ready to buy. But beyond that, there's sort of prime thought time. You know, what are the times of day that you are most able to think clearly and come up with good ideas? Because those are the times that you should probably be engaging in that sort of work. When you try to engage in some heavy lifting in terms of thinking and idea generation during times of day where your brain is either not yet active or has already peaked for the day, it's counterproductive. So if you become aware of your own internal prime thinking time, prime selling time, prime outreach time, the time that you can actually get in touch with the people that you need to reach, that's all really good to do. I was just watching a video earlier today that a guy that I know put out, a social media related video, and he was talking about For business people, the primary times of day that you ideally want to send them an email are either earlier in the morning, like between, say, 7 and 9 a.m., or around lunchtime, say between 11 and 1 p.m., and then later in the day, maybe between 4 and 6 p.m., because those are the times that people tend to really access their email. And if you send it at the times when they're accessing it, it's better than if it's just sort of sitting there and it's part of the pile. Personally, I found that that is accurate as well. If you send somebody an email right in the middle of the time where they're likely to be in their car or on their way to see a client, the likelihood that they're going to open it at that point and respond to it is a lot less than if you're hitting them either when they're starting their day or, maybe at lunchtime when they're at a break and they're taking a look at their email, or at the end of the day when they're just sort of catching up. So those are a couple of things that will help you to accomplish more.
Increase sales, improve margins, and grow your business. Guaranteed. Top Secrets. TopSecrets.com.